frames, but yeah, I'm determined. Let's give it a go. So I got frustrated and installed a local sort of desktop instance of Ookla's speed test, right? And I tried a couple of experiments, and it looks like there might be something up with the soft ether server, not necessarily the client, that's contributing to, like, literally, it's going from 30 megabits per second to 600 kilobits per second on the download. Now, it's kind of strange because I don't think it should have affected the upload, but it's kind of weird. I'm still experiencing dropped frames, it's telling me here, which is really 26% dropped frames. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. But according to this, we should be okay, right? So I'm going to soldier ahead and talk about the plugins that I want to get going on. Otherwise, we're just never going to get done. And I'm going to try to problem solve what's going on with the soft ether VPN server. I think it has a lot to do with the bridging functionality. So I'm going to try a test when I remove the bridge and then just use it as a simple client server connection and then see if we get anything happening there. So on my other machine, on the machine I'm at right now, the client machine, the workstation, I'm opening up the level and it's like at 83% and it's taking forever to load. Now this could be an artifact of streaming off the Google Drive, but this one has launched slightly ahead of time. So I'm just going to pop over and manage the plugins. I want to make sure I've got a few of the plugins that I need sort of set up and ready to install straight away. I'm also following along on the screen captures here just to make sure I don't miss. There was a little niggly thing with UDP settings. I just want to make sure I don't miss it. And all the screenshots that I'm following on my second monitor over here are also posted up on my Discord server. So you should be able to find that okay, right? Okay, so yep. So I definitely want the Substance UE4 plugin. So let's activate that. I've noticed that there's a bit of a latency as well with my commands being sent over the network. There's something definitely up with my network at the moment. So let's go to our developer plugin setting and we can turn on our multi-user editing. That's already enabled. And let's see where we are. So I clicked off the image in the image bank that I had here and we went down there. So we're checking our multi-user setting. That's cool. And now I'm going to set this up as just a direct LAN connection for the time being. Because it's obvious that I have to problem solve my soft ether connection. I ran into this with the students as well. So I reckon if I solve it locally here, it'll solve it over our network. It could just be something's relatively bloated inside the soft ether code. I'm not entirely sure. So I will take a look at that. Because there are a couple of studios using soft ether, I believe successfully, I'm going to persevere. Because there's already been a proven case scenario anyway. All right, so we've got the multi-user setup in there. That's cool. The other thing that I'm looking for is the live link, and this is cool, right? So we'll be taking a look at this a little bit later as well. Live link. Is it going to find it that way? No, I'm going to refer to the documentation. So really, when it comes to connecting Maya to Unreal, I'm just following the, I had the documentation page open, but we'll just navigate to it here, right? So oftentimes what I do with things like following along in the documentation for Unreal is I'll have an actually sanctioned Epic Mega Games Unreal video tutorial streaming along at the same time, just so I can cross-reference a little bit. So we've got our LiveLink plugin engine documentation. So that's quite cool. It doesn't look like... Here's the interesting thing, guys, and this is really sort of frustrating for me, because it looks like they don't have the LiveLink operational directly from Maya to an Unreal Engine level, looks like you have to open up the animation preview window. However, I did find a video tutorial that shows a direct link from iClone, of all things, right into the editor, exactly the way I would like to have it set up. The one problem with animating and having it appear in the preview window and then putting it in the level, oftentimes you want to animate your characters to be contextually aware, whether they're directly interacting with the environment or psychologically reacting to the surroundings. You kind of need that information, right? So the fact that we've got this middleman of the animation preview window is sort of annoying to me. But there we go, right? So let's pop into the live link. Okay, so looks like we've got to turn on UDP messaging, right? And I believe we've got that same UDP messaging that we need to set up in our project settings. So we will get there. If you want to receive data from the LiveLink message bus source network adapter. Okay, so when using the LiveLink message bus source, it uses UDP messaging under the hood, and by default will use the first network adapter it finds. If you have more than one network adapter in your machine, this may cause issues if you expect to receive data from a particular adapter. Okay, that's cool. If you want to receive UDP data on a specific network adapter, you will need to modify your project settings by going to Edit, Project Settings, UDP Messaging. Okay, that's cool. And changing the unicast endpoint. Oh, okay, so that's in project settings anyway. So we're going to reconvene there a little bit later. So where do we find the LiveLink plugin? That's the question. There we go. So plugins, under animation, of course. Why wouldn't it be under animation? So pop into animation. Let's take a look at the animation plugins. You know what? Maybe we need to restart. Don't tell me. We have to restart with every plugin activation. Can't there be a universal? No. That sort of sucks. Just because I remember how long it took for this to restart. Hopefully it cached a whole bunch of information so that the load up time is not going to be as arduous. Hopefully. Are you restarting? Oh, dude. Unbelievable. I can't believe that's hampering me again. I might have to leave you guys again. That sort of sucks. But I'd rather let you guys go as opposed to hanging out waiting for Unreal Engine to launch. I'm going to come into my remote PC, my server PC, and I'm just going to do a quick, oops, can't do that here. I'm going to do a quick Control-Alt-Delete just because I want to see inside the task manager if it is indeed starting up. Let me maximize this so I can see what's going on a little bit better. Yeah, according to this, the UE4 editor is attempting to open up, but I don't see any activity at the moment. So let's, you know what? I will leave it for a few minutes in the vain hope that it is restarting. I don't want to force. Yeah, there's a bit of CPU activity. Yep, there's something going on there. So I'm going to let it do its thing and fire up, right? So I'll keep that window sort of over here. There we go. So it is restarting. But hopefully with Soft Ether deactivated on both machines and a speed test of 30.34 megabits per second, maybe we'll launch into this relatively quick. I am going to go through this because I think it will be helpful anyway, right? So once we get our plugins installed, so we got 3 of them that we're setting up right now, the Substance plugin, and then we've got the multi-user plugin set up, and we've got the Maya LiveLink plugin happening. I eventually have to do the Houdini engine plugin as well, because there are a few things I'm building inside of Houdini that I'm going to engine. So once that's set up and you fire up your project, you go to your project settings here, just having a quick look. So we'll scroll down to our plugins. And again, this has all been captured on the Discord server, so you guys can check that out as well. We're going to select the multi-user plugin, and we're going to enable that. We'll enable the toolbar button, so that saves us from having to go and scroll down to the developer tools and then access multi-user browser. So this is quite a cool thing. It looks like you can set up auto connect, which leave it off for now, just in case, right? Yeah, and then that's that. So once we get that set up, we are going to go into, once we are in the multi-user editing setup for each instance of Unreal, you'll want to set your display name and your avatar color, right? So team members will be set up separately. And here we go. We need to set up our UDP messaging, right? So we're going to head in there, and for the information that we're going to utilize inside the UDP messaging, we need specifics from our machine in terms of network adapters and stuff like that. To do that, you can either run a PowerShell, or I prefer just running a command line. And then we do a really quick IP config, and that will show us our adapter. And in this case, if we were to connect via soft ether, we would want to go out via the VPN, the virtual adapter that Soft Ether installed for us, right? And then they're using Soft Ether. And then it gives us this sort of phantom LAN address, and we would use that. So we would take that and we would enter into the unicast endpoint. We would enable transport, and inside the unicast endpoint, we put in that address, the virtual network's IP plus a 0. And then the multicast endpoint, we would use, do we alter that? No, I think we leave that default. Yeah, we leave it default. We just need that unicast endpoint, right? So if we're doing a LAN test, that unicast endpoint would probably be our Ethernet adapter. Currently, I'm hardwired through a power line setup inside the house. Just briefly, if you guys don't know, the power line, 100% frame drop. Wow. Why is that? I'm going to do another quick little test. What do we got for upload? 100% frame drops over the last 2 minutes. That is a bit nuts. That means no images are getting through to you guys. Holy Jesus. This is not good. This is definitely not good for streaming. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, that's really strange because, we got 6.72 megabits per second upload speed. That shouldn't be throttling us in any way. Man. Okay, well, let me continue to talk through this and see how far I get. Okay, so we got the virtual network's IP. Got that put in. And this is pretty kind of bog standard for those of you guys who do lots of online multiplayer gaming. Multiplayer online gaming. This should be relatively simple, right? So here we are. We're just setting up a server, right? And it's just connecting to that server. And then all we have to, once we launch that server, right? Then all we have to do is create a session for that server, right? So you're still inside the multi-user browser, right? And then when you create a session, you name it. And then that can be identified by other users on your network, right? So here we got a connection to the session, right? And the display name would be for you hosting that session. And then for a client, you would open the session browser, right? And then you would find the session that you need and connect up to it. Oh, yeah, that's right. So you'd find the session that you would need and you would connect up to it as a user. So this is just a screen capture identifying various different details in your view options that you can query for your network session. So you can see how long somebody's been on and all kinds of juicy details of that connection across the network, right? Oh yeah, then that was an update screenshot for something I